And we are back. Welcome, guys. My name is ZK, and in this video, we're going to break down the quarterfinal Olympic basketball slate. We got 3 games on the main slate, 4 games total, 1 early showdown. If this is your first time watching, I cover content for daily fantasy sports, NBA, NFL, as well as for player prop stuff like Prize Picks, Underdog. Underdog, they have the sponsor of today's video. You can use the code DKDFS for a $250 deposit match bonus. They do offer Olympic basketball props. Would highly recommend it. Or you can use the link down below for the deposit match bonus for first-time users. And if you do click the link or deposit, it does really help support the channel. So I greatly appreciate that. And yeah, guys, if you're looking for more content, you can check out my Patreon link down below. Olympic basketball DFS has been an absolute movie. We've been taking down the main slate almost every single day. And this was the last main slate. This is seriously the best part of the job. YouTube watcher said, watch YouTube vid a bunch of times last night. Thank you so much. Much needed for the fam. He got 1st and 4th place. Also tied with another fellow Patreon member for 1st place. So you just love to see it, man. Calvin, super sharp. He was the other one that took down as well. So this is the winning lineup. It was basically a stack of the late game, right, with some early value with the Puerto Rico guys. So yeah, guys, it's been phenomenal. Straight betting props has been amazing as well. I've ran pretty bad, though, with Prize Picks Underdog by getting, like, hooked every time, man. Like, I had Jokic lower than 38.5 PRA. He had 39. They stack corrected him. I had Sabally over 6 rebounds. She had 6, and they stack corrected her. So I figured I'd tweet out the Wilt meme. That's how it's felt like over the last week there. But still been extremely profitable overall. Factoring everything in. And yeah, so we can keep going for this slate. All right, so we'll start off here with Australia and Serbia. So Australia has been running out the starting lineup of Josh Giddey, Patty Mills, Landale, Dyson Daniels, and Nick Kay. Do not think they're going to switch it up. So you got Giddey at the top at 9-1, Landale at 8-6. I think both pretty safe plays. Also, since this is quarterfinals, do or die, I do expect a slight minutes bump for the main guys. So yeah, Giddey stat sheet stuffer. Landale also been stuffing the stat sheets, been involved, distributing as well, even with the assists, 4 and 5 assists in 2 of the last 3 games. He's a great rebounder. The only concern really with Jock Landale is, potential foul trouble. You got him, you got Nick Kay will probably take turns trying to defend Jokic. So that's the slight concern there with Jock Landale. Patty Mills, 7.9K. He's more of just a contrarian play. Now, I still think he's viable in tournaments. He'll be pretty low owned. We've seen some, upset games from Patty Mills. He had a huge Olympics 4 years ago. Hasn't been the same player since, but I still think he's fine for GPPs. Dante Exum's way too expensive right now for his role off the bench. I can't pay 7.3K for him. I'd rather go to Dyson Daniels at 7.2, who was playing about 30 minutes a game. Daniels also stuffed in the stat sheet, so I think he's a pretty solid option there. And then value-wise, not a ton. Josh Green's way overpriced. Nick Kay is playable. He's probably going to play low 20s minutes. He's not a good point per minute player for a big, but he's cheap, and he should play 20-plus minutes, assuming no foul trouble. Does have power forward eligibility as well. McVay has been playing, low teens minutes on average, 20, 15, and 11 minutes over the last 3 games, so they have been ticking down. And then Ingles has been out of the rotation. The backup big, they got Magne and they got Duop Reith. It's been Magne. Or was him last game. He played 12 minutes. The game before that, only 2. Where Duop Reith played 5 minutes and then 4. So, if you want to try to take a shot on one of these mid-price bigs and hope that either Landale or Kay get in foul trouble, this is not the worst idea. I don't really have a ton of confidence there. And then Dellavedova played a few minutes as well, but again, not a ton of confidence in his minutes either. All right, Serbia. Okay, so Serbia, they should go with Jokic, Bogdanovic, Petrosev, Avramovic, and Marinkovic. That's who they started last time out. Now, could they switch it up? Yeah, maybe like a Marinkovic gets subbed out for like Micic or something like that. It's possible. But yeah, top end, you got Jokic and you got Bogdanovic, right? That's where the offense is run through. Jokic is the guy with probably the highest floor on this slate. So really like Nikola Jokic. There's been, a few blowouts, but I think he's going to play 30 plus minutes in this game. And there's no one on Australia that can stop Jokic. So he looks amazing if you can afford him. Bogdanovic had a massive game last time out. 30 points, 8 assists. I will say that's probably a bit of an outlier, 2 blocks, 2 steals, but that is in his range of outcomes. He does have that ceiling. So I think Bogdanovic is a fine contrarian play, but yeah, if I'm spending up between the two, I would feel much better about Jokic. Now, Micic has played well off the bench. I do think there's a chance he could start. So keep an eye on that. 6.7K, solid option even off the bench, but would look better if he does get a start. Petrushev dealt with some foul trouble last game. Played 21 minutes. Probably would have played a little bit more. No real strong takes on him. He's a decent point per minute player. Not going to prioritize him, but if you landed him his last piece in, that's fine. And then for me, like a lot of these guards look similar. These Serbian guards. I know I've said this before, but Avramovic, Dobric, Marinkovic, Guduric. None of them are like great point per minute. Usually they're going to play all of them are going to play high teens to low 20s minutes. Avramovic, averaging close to about 20 minutes a game. Yeah, it feels a little pricey. Jovic at 5.8K, 18 minutes in back-to-back games. Fine. Small forward is pretty weak, so he's in play for that reason. Moltonov, 5.5. Going to back up Jokic. Can play a few minutes alongside him. Decent point per minute player, but the price is slowly ticking up. I still think he's fine, but it's a little bit tough to prioritize him since he's only center eligible. Again, Dobric, been averaging about 20 minutes a game. You got Marinkovic, who got his minutes cut last game, but before that, 18 and 20 minutes. Guduric has been averaging, high teens minutes a game. So again, like all those Serbian guards are like playable, but they're just like filler plays. I'm gonna like build out the rest of my lineup, and if I need like, I don't know, 4.6K, I have 4.6K remaining at guard, then I'm fine like landing on Guduric. And then that's it. I'm not confident Davidovic or Plazic should play unless the game blows out. Canada and France. So Canada has been running the same starting lineup every game. That's going to be SGA, RJ Barrett, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, and Dwight Powell. Of the two spend ups here with SGA and Barrett, again, I'm much going to prefer SGA. I think the floor plus ceiling is just a lot higher on him. Now, the assist number has not been great for SGA, but we know that he can go, for double-digit assists. We know that's in his range of outcomes. And again, I'm expecting a slight minutes bump here since this is do or die now in the quarterfinals. So yeah, SGA, solid spend up. RJ Barrett, more of a contrarian play. We have seen a couple big games. That game against Australia went for 44 fantasy points, but at 9K or almost 9K, I think there's other spend ups that look a little safer. I mean, I just can't play Jamal Murray, right? He's coming out the bench. He's playing high teens minutes. I just can't do it. Can he have a really good game in that time? Maybe they extend him, sure. But I'm just not going to pay the almost 8K price point for him coming out the bench. I think Dylan Brooks and Lou Dort are both a little overpriced. Now, they're pretty big parts of the team, but more out there, again, for defensive purposes. Both are very foul-prone as well. So that is a concern there with both Dort and with Dylan Brooks. I think Dwight Powell's a little pricey as well. He's probably going to play around 20 minutes, but not good point per minute guy for a big. And then some guys to mention off the bench. I think Nembhard is playable. I would say last game was a pretty big outlier in a good way, going for 24 fantasy points, 8 of 10 shooting. He hasn't been great point per minute playing off the bench, but he should play somewhere in the neighborhood of around 20 minutes on average. Olynyk got his minutes / game 2, but game 3 bounced back for 15 minutes. Did not have a good game for 15 minutes, but I still think he's fine because he's really cheap. I think Trey Lyles is a little bit interesting because the matchup, right? They're going up against France. So you're thinking like, all right, well, who in Canada can match up with Wembanyama? Trey Lyles, I think, is a guy that can get some minutes defending Wembanyama, right? And Lyles is not an awful point per minute guy, but averaging about around 10 minutes a game, and he's also close to min price. So Lyles viable is kind of a dart throw there. All right, moving on to France. Again, for this France team, the rotation is just a headache. We've talked about it every slate, but I mean they're playing like almost 12 guys every single game. It's maybe they cut it down here since it's a quarterfinal game, but it's really hard for me to feel confident in anyone's minutes outside of Wembanyama and Batum. So Wembanyama 10-7, clearly the guy with the highest floor plus ceiling, should play low 30s minutes, assuming no foul trouble. And so Wembanyama looks great. I think Jokic is slightly safer, but if you want to put Wembanyama over Jokic, you can. I mean, if you want to try to jam in both, you can probably make it work. You're just probably not going to get to a ton in the mid-range. You're going to have to go kind of stars and scrubs if you play both Wembanyama and Jokic, about 4.7K remaining per player from there. But yeah, Gobert, 8K, back down to 18 minutes. Again, not a ton of confidence. It just comes down to what do you think his minutes going to be like, right? If you think he plays what he did against Japan, then I think he's a pretty solid option. But the minutes have been a little bit all over the place. Even in like the warm-up games, he was only averaging like low 20s minutes. So that's concern there with Gobert. Fournier, similar, right? 13 minutes game 1, then 30 minutes game 2, then 17 minutes game 3. Now, Fournier is a guy that if he's making a shots, I think they will extend him a bit. So I think he's playable for tournaments because if you get the 30-minute game like you did game 2, that could win you a tournament if you play Fournier at low ownership. I think Batum, again, has a pretty secure role. Not the best point per minute player, but good defender. Kind of stuff the stat sheet. 30-plus minutes in every single game so far. Small forward is pretty weak, so Batum pretty safe. But then the rest of this team, I mean, it's really hard for me to feel good about anyone. Koulibaly been averaging about 10 minutes a game. That's just too pricey for 6.1. Frank Ntilikina, not good point per minute. Played sub 10 minutes last game. Yabusele, I think, would probably be my favorite value once again for France. Averaging high teens minutes. He's about a fantasy point per minute player, sub 5K. So I do like some Yabusele for value. But outside of that, man, I mean, I have no idea what these kind of end of the bench guys are going to do. Strazel started last game, only played 13 minutes. He's not a good point per minute player. Had an outlier game 2. DeColo, not an awful point per minute player, but only played 4 minutes last time out after playing 15 minutes the game before. Lazort's not great point per minute, but he's been averaging low teens minutes a game, about 10 fantasy points per game. I guess playable. Cordier, another not great point per minute guy, but has played 17 and 18 minutes in 2 of the last 3 games. He got LBC, another not good point per minute player, but again, 16 and 17 minutes in 2 of the last 3 games. So, I mean, if you want to take some dart throws in these France like min price guys, be my guest. I just have no confidence. I have no confidence in the minutes. But if you are going stars and scrubs, you're probably going to have to take a shot at one of those guys. I found the USA and Brazil. So I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here once again. But once again, USA, my least favorite team to target on the slate. And it's not close. Just not a ton of interest in this team. They're loaded. We'll see about Drew Holiday. He missed last game. If he's back, they have the 12 guys active. If I'm going to play someone at the top for the USA, it's probably going to be LeBron. He's played pretty well in the Olympics, but are they really going to need him to play big minutes against Brazil? They're I think 25-point favorites, something like that. So that's a concern. But yeah, LeBron, he'll definitely be productive. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. Just a matter of, how many minutes you think he's going to play. KD off the bench at 8-7. I would just rather spend up for LeBron for a little bit more. Curry, Booker have both been a little bit disappointing so far in the Olympics. Again, the price points make it kind of difficult to get to either of them. I think Anthony Davis is fine off the bench. He is a good point per minute player. Should play high teens minutes. So AD is reasonable. Anthony Edwards has played well off the bench as well. Should play high teens minutes. Had a really good game last time out in that blowout. Embiid started last game, played 23 minutes. Now we'll keep an eye on it, right? Will they start Embiid? Will they bring out the bench? If he comes off the bench, I'm definitely worried about his minutes. If he starts, I think he can feel a little bit better about his minutes. Bam Adebayo is going to come off the bench and probably play low to mid-teens minutes. Keep an eye on Drew Holiday status because if Jason Tatum starts again, I think he would probably be my favorite value on the USA. Had a really good game in 23 minutes, 10 points, 10 boards. I think 10 boards in 22 minutes, obviously a bit of an outlier for Tatum, but if he starts again, he's fine. And then rounding it out, Derek White, playable, but I think I'd rather get to Tatum, similar price point. Halliburton will most likely only play in a blowout. And then, Drew Holiday, if he is in, probably will start and play, high teens minutes. So he would be another, viable value. Finally, Brazil. So Brazil might be my favorite team to target on the slate, even though they're massive underdogs here against the USA. So you guys already got my tilt rant about Bruno Caboclo, right? I had played him on the main slate the first 2 slates. He was way, way under owned game 2, and the faders got bailed out with random massive foul trouble. I played him in the captain, the early showdown, and I got second place in that one, over $300. 60 fantasy points for Bruno Caboclo. 33 points, 17 boards. Listen, that's the ceiling that he has. It's just a matter of can he stay out of foul trouble. Now, Brazil, they switched up the starting lineup last game. They went to Bruno at the 5. And Bruno at the 5 really raises his floor plus ceiling. It's just a matter of can he stay out of foul trouble. If he can stay on the court and play 30 minutes, he's probably the best play in the mid-range. But there's a very good chance he also gets in foul trouble. So it's he is such a tricky one to figure out what I want to do with. We'll see what the ownership is. I feel like he's definitely going to get some ownership, especially after the 60 fantasy point game last time out. But yeah, the ceiling is massive on Bruno. He's their clear number 1 option. Just a matter of can he stay on the court. Now, again, they had been starting Lucas Diaz, their big, the first 2 games. So they brought him off the bench and barely played him last game. So they moved Guy Santos into the starting lineup. So it's Caboclo, Santos, Huertas, Mendel, and then De Paula, who's been pretty bad. So if Guy Santos starts again, I think he's kind of sneaky. Now, in like those qualifying games, he was averaging I think low 20s minutes a game. But he played 34 minutes last time out. So I think he is going to be a little bit sneaky here. If he starts again, I like some Santos. Huertas minutes, not as secure. Played 11 minutes game 2, 23 game 3. However, they do have Raul Neto back, and Neto played 20 plus minutes off the bench. But Huertas is fine. Mendel is also fine at 5.8. His minutes have been a little bit up and down, but probably plays on average about 25 minutes against small forward. Pretty disgusting. So he's a solid option. Remember when Cristiano Felicio, guys, was 30% after that complete outlier game 1 where both Diaz and Caboclo were in random massive foul trouble and the field chased him and 30% clicked him here and they finished with 3 fancy points? Good times, man. Good times. Absolutely no interest in Felicio. Raul Neto at 5.2, so he'd been out with an injury the first 2 games. He'll play 21 minutes last time out. Listen, I think Brazil sticks with the same starting lineup because they won. They played well. They beat Japan by almost 20 points. So yeah, I think they're kind of gonna stick with a similar rotation. If they do, I think Neto's a decent value play. De Paula, again, has been really bad starting. There's a chance he moves to the bench. We'll see. Right now, just a dart throw. Benete has really had outlier shooting games so far in the Olympics. 5 of 9, 6 of 8 last couple of games. I don't think he can continue to shoot that well. So he is one for me that I think will be a bit over-owned by the casual players. Not saying he's an awful play because he's been averaging around 20 minutes a game at 4.5K, but I just don't know if he can continue to shoot this well. So he's one I feel like will be a bit over-owned. Dos Santos minutes not as secure, obviously, with Raul Neto there, but Dos Santos, the thing I like about Dos Santos is he is a good point per minute player. So if you get a game like you get game 2 where he played us almost 30 minutes, he can absolutely break the slate. So I do have some interest in Dos Santos for value, and that's really it. Don't think we see Cardozo or any of these end of the bench guys. So yeah, I mean, if Brazil keeps that same starting lineup plus rotation as last game, there's a lot to like here. Just a matter of, again, can Bruno stay out of foul trouble? If he can, he has a massive ceiling. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for the video. As always, if you do enjoy, and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And we'll see you guys all in the next one.